is West Wednesday, number 490. We are calling for justice for all victims of police violence. Mic check, mic check.
A mic check. You guys can't see me live tonight, but you see the photo of me. But I'm glad to be here. Spot. But tonight, you definitely don't want to miss. So please tune in. That we play every week. One of the first officers that started murdering my brother. Tonight, we're going to talk about self-love, self-care. And I had one of my childhood friend, Kara. She's going to tell us how to take care of these holidays. So please just hold tight and we'll be back with you. Mic check.
Mic check.
Can't stop, won't stop, till killer cops are in cell blocks. Can't stop.
The following newly released video portrays an incident of assault and violence at the hands of police. Viewer discretion is advised.
I suggest you back the fuck up. No.
This is Baltimore City Police Officer Jorge Bernardez Ruiz. In a newly released video shot in 2016, Ruiz is seen with his knee on the back of an unknown man with a gun pointed at the man's head. His message was a clear one. Concerned onlookers, adhere to my dictates or else. Here, we can hear Ruiz saying to Baltimore residents,
I suggest you back the fuck up. No.
It is documented that Baltimore police officer Jorge Bernardez Ruiz is a repeat violent offender, even without access to all complaints against Ruiz, undisclosed by BPD Internal Affairs records. 6 cases involving Ruiz are known. This video will briefly highlight 6 total cases beginning in July of 2013. Case 1, Abdul Salam, July 1st, 2013. Here Salam is seen victoriously smiling in celebration after the jury found Ruiz and 2 other cops liable for brutality against him. However, because the trial was civil, not criminal, Ruiz was not fired and he did not go to jail.
Police profiled me. They followed me in the back of my house, harassing me. Police proceeded to violently and hostilely approach my van with me and my son in it. As I announced, this was my home, guns drawn. Once they reached my vehicle, they violently pulled me out, ramshacked my vehicle with my 3-year-old son strapped in his car seat, threw me against the gate, slammed me repeatedly. Picked me up by my feet, and while I'm upside down, they proceeded to drop me on my head, hog-tie me, and immediately when I fell on my head, Ruiz, in a wrestling type of action, and kind of hit his knee against my neck. I was arrested. I had no idea what I was being arrested for. My son is scarred to this day. He remembers the incident as it happened yesterday. When he talks about it, he always refers to Daddy being on the floor with police yesterday.
Case 2, Darrell Harris, profiled, as seen in this video, July 17th, 2013.
Yeah, I said, what's wrong with it?
Improper way with it.
There's no such thing as an improper way.
You gonna tell me my driver?
I know the law.
Are you gonna tell me the law?
I know the law.
You gonna tell me the driver?
I know the law. What's the problem? You giving me a ticket? You need my license registration?
Yeah, let me get it.
The profile, y'all use the seatbelt as a reason. Profile.
Do me a favor, take out your keys.
Yeah, you can record me. For what? Nah. I don't feel safe right now. Do you want me to step out the car? Do you want me to step out the car? I'll step out the car. Call the police, man. What do you call a supervisor? Don't I brought the new shit. This is getting uploaded to the internet right now. Yeah.
And we are two law-abiding citizens that we're getting targeted, and I don't know why.
Just 24 hours later, Bernardez Ruiz played a leading role in the police killing of unarmed Tyrone West. Case number 3, the murder of Tyrone West, July 18th, 2013.
My brother Tyrone West was brutally murdered on July the 18th, 2013.
In both of these cases, when you look at the pleadings and the harsh language of these officers that have been quoted to me by reliable witnesses, the N-word.
And Killer Ruiz and Killer Chapman and the rest of those 11 to 15 killers, including David Lewis, took something from my family that they could never give us again. And that was my brother Tyrone West, one unarmed man who was brutally murdered, beat to death in broad daylight.
Mic check, mic check. It looks like Tawanda may have disconnected. Stand by. I'm sure she'll try to connect. There she is. Stand by. Mic check, mic check. Tawanda, can you hear us?
Yes, mic check. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. So, thank you guys again for tuning in. And as my brother Ben said, this is West Wednesday 490. That's a very long time to be fighting for anything. But that just shows that, you know, the tenacity of my family, the tenacity and strength of the coalition. Like, it takes a lot to do that because it's very, very draining. Like, because at the end of the day, you might get a lot of ups, but then a lot of times you get a lot of downs. But it's all about balancing it out. And right now we're approaching the holiday season and whatnot, and it's literally a lot going on. So just kind of taking care of ourselves and staying on point. And that's why my special guest tonight is my best friend. I grew up with her. Like, she literally knew my brother. Like, my brother actually helped raise me and her. So yeah, so no further ado, I'm going to introduce you guys to my best friend Kara. Mic check.
Hey everybody. Thanks again to Wanda for having me. First I want to just start with, well, piggyback on what you just said, balance. We need balance, and sometimes we have to create our own balance. And when you asked me to speak about self-care around the holidays, I kind of had to dig deep. I'll be transparent. I literally had to dig deep because I'm learning a new self-care during this time. So first I want to just put a disclaimer and tell you guys that I'm not going to share anything that I don't practice. And I don't have all the answers. I'm not going to pretend to have the answers. But I do want to say this is a difficult time for a lot of people. And I had to write some notes. So if you see me look down, that's why, because I ain't want to forget. So sometimes self-care is just simply being in the moment. And sometimes you have to take those moments, you know, moment by moment, step by step, and day by day. When we talk about self-care, oftentimes, you know, people go with the cliche of self-care. Oh, I got to get my nails done. I got to get my hair done. I got to do this and I got to do that for the outside. But what are you doing for the inside? So we have to ask ourselves, what are we doing to take care of the inside? You know, our mind, our spirit. And one of the things that kind of struck me recently was I was on, I can't remember what social media thing I was on, but I was on social media, and this young lady went down the list of what she did for self-care. And I thought, oh my gosh, like, you need to add some more stuff to that list, because everything that you're saying is for your outer self. And yeah, sometimes, you know, when we get our nails done, our hair done, and all of that, I do those things too, but I make sure I'm taking care of the inside as well, even more so. Part of self-care that I practice, and I hope other people practice it. I hope somebody's listening to me and they, you know, can kind of reflect on themselves and dig a little deeper too. But you got to learn who you are. You have to learn who you are. You have to learn what makes you happy. You have to learn what triggers get you upset, make you sad, and all of those things, so that when those things happen, you can kind of reel yourself back in and not get, you know, too deep into that bad feeling or that dark place. When let me just start here, because I'm struggling a little bit, and like I said, I'm gonna be transparent. So my birthday is tomorrow, and last year my mother passed away on December 30th, which is 15 days after my birthday. So right now, it's a struggle a little bit, but thank God I know about true self-care and how to really take care of myself from the inside out. And if I have those moments, like I said in the beginning, where I just need to be, I just be. I'm just there. And I allow myself to feel exactly what I'm feeling in that moment. But I also remind myself not to sit there, not to stay there too long. If I need a day in bed, then that's just what I take, a day in bed. I don't try to, you know, cover up. You know, people say, hey, how you doing? Are you okay? Or how you been? I am not one of those people, especially if it's somebody that I know, to say, oh, I'm good, and I'm not. Absolutely not. I wish that we could all do that, because I feel like that would be a segue for us to help each other. And, you know, another part of self-care for me that I've been learning through a friend of mine's is to rest and receive, and learning the difference between sleep and rest, because you can go to sleep and wake exhausted. Tawanda, I know you those days and nights and afternoons where you feel like, you know, I slept for 8 hours, but you wake up drained and exhausted. But that's because rest hasn't kicked in. And so she's been, you know, teaching me about resting and receiving. So when I take my time to actually rest, and that means shutting it down, like media, my phone, I put my phone on do not disturb sometimes. On Sundays, between certain hours, I will literally put my phone on do not disturb and only have it available for my children. Got an iPhone, you know what I'm talking about.
Yes,
but,
yes.
But I do that for me. And the receiving part comes when I just want to know what God has for me. I want to know what he wants me to do. And I need time to be quiet so that I can hear, and so that I can know what my next direction is. So, you know, that's another part of it. Other parts of self-care, and I'm going to, you know, take a second to get into some good stuff too, but these things are crucial, and I feel like other people need to know as well. Self-care around the holidays, a lot of times we don't have somebody to pick up the phone and call, or everybody might just be busy. You know what I mean? So take those moments and get a journal, get a pen and a paper, write down, you know, the things that you want, the things that you desire. Find out, if you don't already know, what your purpose is. Start a new tradition. Start a new tradition for yourself. I know growing up, it's always been, oh, we need to do this on Christmas. We need to do this on Thanksgiving. We need to do that. But what do we really want to do? What makes us happy? Now, I'm going to use you for an example because I'm on here with you. So everybody on this page or whoever's looking, they know what you do on Thanksgiving, right? And I know how we used to do, you know, some years ago. We would be on the phone all night long, talking and cooking and the music, laughing and joking and, you know, stuff like that. And it was fun. But for me, now that my kids are older, I don't do that so much. I have to think about, do I really feel like doing this? Or do I want to cook a little bit of something? Like, you know, this Thanksgiving, me or my daughter didn't feel like cooking. We didn't. But we did. I mean, I'll give you the menu. And people laughed. They were like, only you would have this for your Thanksgiving meal. We ordered crabs. We ordered our crabs from Baltimore. We had crabs. We had crab legs, shrimp, you know, potatoes, the whole seafood boiled thing. We had potato pie. We had macaroni and cheese. We had greens. We had pudding. We had cake. So we just created our own thing, and we didn't miss the tradition out of it, right? But you know, Wanda, she made 13 turkeys, 45 chicken wings, 19 hams. You know, I just be laughing because I'm like, I need her to take a break. But I know her, so I know that's what she enjoys doing. But I do laugh at the times where, you know, we used to be on the phone and, you know, doing those things together. So again, you know, you can start a new tradition. Another thing, I know everybody, you know, thinks when they see social media, they can assume what somebody's life is like or what they're going through. And I just want to ask all of us right now to be mindful that social media is a minute. It's 30 seconds. It's 90 seconds. It's 5 minutes. And to be honest, if you're like me, you might pre-record some of your stuff before you post it. You know what I mean? It's not always in the moment. So when things happen, it's easy for us to say, oh my goodness, I just saw her. I just saw him. They were just doing, you know, they just posted a video. They just did this. They just did that. But what about all of those other hours, minutes, and seconds throughout the day or throughout that week? Because those videos could have been posted last week. I mean, last week and posted this week. You know what I mean? So just be mindful of that when you are seeing what people post and kind of check yourself. And if it's somebody you know what I mean, just check in on them and let them know that you're thinking about them. It's as easy as that. It's not hard. And that could be a part of your personal self-care as well, because it's like you're taking a minute to check on somebody else because you know you want somebody to check on you. And another part of self-care I would suggest is to check your surroundings, see what kind of energy you're getting from the people that's around you, from your environment. And if it's not good, if it's not positive, remove yourself. I don't care if it's family. I don't care if it's friends. I don't care what the situation is. If it's not conducive to the well-being of you and what you need to do, don't stay in it. And also too, you know, I hear people say this often. I'm trying to say it in the right way. Okay, so listen, just because you are in a particular place, right, that doesn't mean you have to stay there. And that means internally and externally. So another part of self-care is, again, creating a different environment. I hear people say, well, I don't have any money to do this. I don't have any money to go there. So I'll use myself for an example. I'm from Baltimore, right? When I was living in Baltimore, when I was living in Maryland, that's not the only place I stayed where I lived. I got out and went to other, Mr. Bill, Mr. Uncle Bill. Yes. Oh, came to my mind because I love to hike too, right? And when I see your posts, I get so excited. So even using him as an example, you can go on a hike. It's so many nice places in Maryland to just go and explore that are within 2 hours. Within 2 hours of the city, and you can just go and have a whole different experience. So I encourage people to get outside of their immediate surroundings as well. Another form of self-care that I practice, of course, is prayer, but also reflections to improve. So I may have, downtime or something like that, and I'm reflecting, I'm writing, because I feel like it's always room for improvement. There's always room for us to grow. So we can take some time to kind of reflect on, like I said, my birthday is tomorrow, right? And I use that as my new year. I don't use that as January 1st as my new year. So typically, a few months before my birthday, I start planning and thinking about what I want to do in the new year. Unfortunately, that has not been my practice this year, just because I've been in a different space, emotionally and mentally, because, this is the first year that, my mother is not here. So I'm like, oh my goodness, this feels weird. This does not feel right. And so many of us have experienced so much loss. I stopped counting how many of my friends have lost their parents just this year. I stopped counting, not purposely, but because I was thinking like, it's just too many. And I know that I'm not the only person experiencing this. So I had to give myself some grace. So you should give yourself some grace too in times, like this, or times where you don't feel like you're as creative or, motivated. Give yourself some grace and take your time with yourself and, figure out what you really want for life. I shared with my brother when my mother passed away. I kept telling him, this is the time you can reinvent yourself, kind of, sort of, you know what I mean? You can do what you've always thought about doing. This is kind of like a reset. They say that, when somebody passes away, somebody's born, or I don't know, I'm paraphrasing, I'm getting it all wrong, but it's like new life. It's a newness when somebody passes away, right? And I know that might sound crazy, but I'm still kind of learning exactly what that means, because you do have to create a new life, a new, normal, without that person being here. And another form of, self-care is, like I said earlier, try to surround yourself with people who's going to pour into you, especially if you're the one that's always pouring into someone else. Take some time to figure out who is pouring into you, who wants to be there for you, who do you enjoy being around. Because if you're being around people in certain situations and things that are draining you, then guess what? You're going to be drained, and you're not going to have anything to give anybody else, because you've already poured everything in your cup, bowl, plate, spoon, and everything over to everybody else, but you don't have anybody pouring into you. So create your own, your own joy. So with all of that being said, I would suggest for holiday self-care, that's why my tree is blue, because my mother's favorite color was blue. And it was a struggle. It was a struggle trying to even put the tree up, because I was just like, oh my gosh, that was like our thing, right? So let me tell you the story real quick. So I go and I'm looking for ornaments and stuff. And I go in the store And I'm like, oh my gosh, they want $30 for a thing of ornaments. And then my daughter was like, go in another store. And she told me what store to go. And I went in the store and I started looking. I saw all these blue ornaments and I was like, oh my goodness, I'm getting them. And I just started putting blue ornaments in my cart. So one was up too high and it was still in the shipping box. So as I'm waiting for the person to come and get it for me, I'll go around to the back and I see that the box is shipped from Baltimore. I was like, what? So that just encouraged me even more. But, you know, like I said, do things that bring you joy, especially if it's somebody that you lost. Do something in memory of them. I think, oh my goodness, please forgive me because I can't remember your name. What's the moderator's name?
Who name?
The moderator. What's his name? That's
Me? I'm Ben.
Benjamin. Ben. Yeah,
Okay.
Ben.
I couldn't remember. I didn't say it wrong. So Ben, like you were saying with the ornaments and the bulbs and stuff like that, that's such an awesome idea. And I was thinking, you know, as you were saying it, I was like, I'm gonna start doing that. That's cool. So what you're saying, and again, I'm paraphrasing, is that his parents give him an ornament every year and he gives his kids an ornament every year. So just create things to make you happy. And it doesn't matter what anyone else. And when I say do things and create things that make you happy, please know that I mean positive things. I don't mean, and I'm going to say it because I see it online, I don't mean going to get drunk. I don't mean going to smoke with your minor children and your children. I don't mean going out to do, you know, all this crazy stuff. Do things that can help your soul be built or rebuilt. Do things that make you happy. And, you know, things that you can pass on to your children, just like, you know, Ben was saying, do things like that. And even if it's buying somebody a gift that you don't know, paying it forward when you're in the line for somebody that you don't know. Those things are self-care for me. And like I said in the beginning, I won't share anything that I don't practice. I won't, you know, share anything that I don't know, because I'm sure there are more ways, but this is just my experience and what I do to, you know, kind of regroup, get back in the groove. And because I wasn't feeling Christmassy this year. I wasn't feeling my birthday this year. And I'm somebody who celebrates my birthday all day long. My birthday starts December 1st. So for me not to start celebrating my birthday on December 1st is a big deal. But again, I had to give myself grace. I had to be patient with myself. And I had to realize it's gonna be all right. Like, I can take this year and not do the whole month for my birthday. But yeah, so that's and buy yourself a gift. If you can buy yourself a gift, buy yourself a gift, especially parents. We are buying stuff for all the kids, the neighbor, the dog down the street. Buy yourself a gift for Christmas. Do that, Tawanda. Buy yourself a gift for Christmas. I mean to call you out, but you know.
Oh no, you good. Call me out. I need to be called out because all the stresses. And like literally, like I've been like to the point that I've been thrown, like everything has been thrown at me, the kitchen sink, the tub, like everything out of different rooms, and like everything has literally physically been thrown at me. I'm talking about day after day, and I'm just like waiting to catch a break. Like, and I'll be to the point, I'm like, you cannot make this stuff up. Like literally, like while I'm trying to unwind, unpack, but I noticed that when it was happening, all I could hear my inner self say, you know what, calm down. Because I was like ready to explode. Like, I'll give you a prime crazy example yesterday. So literally, I had called my uncle and he was lending me a few bucks. So Uncle Cat, so he's elderly. So it took him literally like an hour to work, like to figure out how to work Cash App. So I waited like a whole hour. So he's like, I got you, whatever. So I'm like, okay. So I'm like, what I'll do while I'm waiting for you, I'm just going to go to, make market, do some grocery shopping or whatever, use my credit card, go get my groceries all out the way. So I did all that. So while doing this, I'm starving, and they say never go to the market hungry. So I'm throwing all type of unnecessary snacks in my cart. So long story short, I get up there, I look at my bill, I'm like, oh my goodness. So I'm ready to zap then and put stuff back, but I'm like, I'm in too deep. So I pay for my food, I charge it. I'm like, okay, cool, I get paid Friday. Long story short, after that, he said, yeah, I sent you the money. So me, like, okay, yeah. So I looked, the Cash App hit. So I'm like, yeah. So then I'm thinking that, okay, this is the day that Amazon coming for their $15.89. I don't want no parts of this coming out TT hairdresser money. So I'm like, the devil lies. So I transfer the funds to my bank account. So it said they took like $1 and some change. So I'm like, okay, cool. And they said it was done. I'm like, yes. So then I'm like, let me just pull up at McDonald's and grab me something to eat. Can't make this stuff up. So I'm at McDonald's. I order 1 quarter pounder with cheese meal. That was it. I ain't order my pot. 1 quarter pounder with cheese meal. So the lady take my card. She give me my receipt and like go to the next one. I'm like, okay, cool. I ain't even looking at nothing. So, but by the time I get to the second window, she's handing me Happy Meals, girl, McFlurries, all this stuff. And I'm like, the honest person I am, I'm looking like, damn, that's a lot. Like, she realize she give me somebody else's food, but being as though I'm honest. And I'm like, you know what, ma'am, as much as I would like to take this, I will not. And I said, the devil a liar. I didn't order this. All I ordered was a quarter pounder with cheese meal. So at this moment, she's like, let me see your receipt. So at this moment, I look down at my receipt, girl, she done charged me 20-something extra bucks for that stuff that I did. I'm like, wait a minute. So then now my anxiety level then went all the way. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, no. So then she like, you sure you didn't know what happened? I'm like, look, miss, I know what I ordered. So she was like, oh, well, I'm sorry, we'll straighten you out. So she was like, we're going to put your money back on your card. We're going to just take out for that meal. We're going to put the rest of it, I think it was like 18, 19 bucks back on my card. I'm like, oh my goodness, thank you. Or whatever. So I'm like, let me call my bank or let me go to the app to see if the money's on there. Not only wasn't that money showing, the money that my uncle sent me didn't go in my account. And I'm thinking like, what in the world is going on? Like, where's the money that I sent instantly? I've been doing this forever with Cash App, did not hit. So I hit Cash App up. They're telling me some foolishness like, oh, well, we're going to refund you the $1.24. You got to check in with your bank. I'm like, I want all my money. So now I'm still waiting. But I had to, like, with all this happening, it's like all this is at one time. Like, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So I had to breathe, laugh it all. And then at that moment, I'm like, you know what, how I vent this, I got to get it out. So I literally, I was pulled over with tears in my eyes, ready to zap. I'm like, let me send my West Coalition family this message just to get it off my chest. Because I'm like, I got to drive. I still got to go home. I still got to be mommy. So with all that being said, I just learned how to just calm down and breathe. Like, that's the only thing you can do. Is like, especially when situations happen that you don't even want to happen, that you don't want no part of, and you're just forced to take the stuff. And I want to send a big prayer like out to my sister Angela, and she told me something real profound and powerful, because she literally over the weekend lost 3 family members. So praying for her, sending her my deepest condolences. But what she said that was profound to me was, she said, you know what, sis, through all this, now I got to realize, I know death is a part of life, but God is showing me now I got to really live and enjoy my life. And I was like, oh my goodness, it was like a revelation to me as well. I'm like, oh my goodness, like that hit me on so many levels. I was like, wow, that was like so deep. And so just thinking about your birthday tomorrow, as well as my Uncle Don, I'm like, that's why I kind of like block, I love you to death. But I'm like, I think about my best friend birthday, then now I got to be sad because my Uncle Don and my Uncle Clifton is no longer here. And it just really breaks my heart, and it's just like a lot. But I just got to learn, like you said, to really take care. And I was just thinking like, oh, when I get my nails done, self-care surgery, but that's just the outer appearance. But the inside of me is still hurting. Like the inside of me can't take all this. Like it's too much. So I'm taking care of the outside of me whenever I can, but the inside of me, like I'm not taking care. Like you said, I don't even get 8 hours of rest. But literally, when I'm getting like the 4 or 5 hours, maybe 6 if I'm lucky, like I wake up exhausted every single day because I'm not resting. My mind is still going, thinking about this, thinking about that, thinking about, before I get to work, what I'm going to do with the kids and my job and just all this stuff, and thinking about my family, just thinking about so much. I'm not taking that time that I really need. So I just want to thank you for being here tonight, being in this space, blessing us with, your parents, and most importantly, just your time and your powerful message, because I'm definitely going to I needed this. That's why I said, it wasn't just for my friends and everything, but I really needed this, because I'm like, I gotta get some balance, because it's to the point that if everything is being tossed at you, eventually you're going to snap. Eventually you might come out of character, but I just know that through it all, just sat down, take some time, breathe. And then I start thinking about all the blessings. I start thinking about how beautiful the West Coalition is, how beautiful my family is, my brother, children. So every time a negative thought comes in, I fulfill it with something positive. You ain't gonna steal my shine like that. So, I be thankful for just every little thing. Some people, can't even wake up. They might be hospitalized today, whereas though they had all their 5 senses, now they hooked up to a feeding tube. So you have to be thankful for every moment, opportunity. So that's what I try to embrace as I'm going through these trials and tribulations. So I just wanted to thank you real quick. And also, Queen, before you, I know you want to address what I said, but after you address it, I want to check in with Marcellus, because I see our boards are lit up with comments and feedback. So I want to definitely check in.
Okay,
Mic check. I'm handing it back to you, sis.
Okay, I just want to say this real quick, because just of what you said. There are 2 people that I think about when I, don't want to do something, or I'm in that phase of, oh my gosh, is this happening, or whatever the case may be, right? One person is you, your strength, and I see how you just go so hard for, I could just name one thing, but it's too many to name. And then I have another friend who has an illness, and she just goes and don't ever complain. And I'm like, dang, if they can, do this with all that they have going on, and I just have, this one thing or this 2 thing or 3 things, I know I can keep going, right? But for you and anybody else, I just want to say it's okay to shut it down and take a day off. Don't talk to nobody. It's okay to do that. I know you ain't gonna get it right this minute, but I'm just telling you, and I've told you before, even offline, it's all right to just shut down. It's okay to just be like, you know what? I'm not doing this today. And sometimes we have to do that for ourselves so that we can regroup in a healthy way. And I know everybody is wired differently. Everybody is built differently, but you got to do what works for you. And, when I experienced, I know when you are dealing with grief, and when you're dealing with loss and all of these things, sometimes, our memories can get fuzzy. We can forget stuff. I know for about after my mother passed away, I literally worked every single day. I worked from home. I literally worked every single day, and I didn't realize it. And then one day I was like, what am I doing? It just clicked. And I was like, and I counted the days that I worked, and I was like, oh my goodness. And it wasn't until my son, it was time for him to go to prom and, do his senior activities, that I was able to kind of start moving again. But my body suffered from it. And I didn't know all of this could happen, and all of these things could be affected just by, doing that. And I had to, like I said, learn a different way of life, but also take care. So just one last thing, that I want to repeat: use your joy when you feel like you can't. Use your joy. Remember your joy. Just like Tawanda said, remember the good things and the positive things and all the blessings that you do have. And when we lose people, it's hard enough already, but don't take yourself down a guilt trip, a memory lane guilt trip. Whoever it was, remind yourself that you did enough. You're enough. And And just remember your joy and pull from that, especially during the holidays. So if you need to act silly, act silly. If you need to rest, rest. If you need to eat, eat. Like, do what you need to do in a positive way that is healthy and that will, allow you to move forward in a positive direction.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'm definitely gonna leave it right there, and I want to check in with our brother Marcellus just to see the feedback comments. So I'm gonna give a strong, loud mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check. So we have a few comments. Adina says, hold on, start from the beginning. Adina says, Kiera, Hillary says, yes, I appreciate your words. Self-care and mindfulness doesn't have to cost money. Noticing that we experience through our senses and giving ourselves grace as we learn is so helpful. Bill says, very true. What you mentioned earlier, that the inside is more important than the outside, and not just for people. Burley for everything. For example, when we go to buy a used car, the inner condition con of the engine and the transmission is more important than how shiny the paint job is on the outside. Adina says, have a wonderful birthday tomorrow. And Angela says, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Mic check.
Yes, mic check. And then mic check. And I want to give you some feedback, Kara. First of all, I really admire your strength and everything. And like, not only are you beautiful on the outside, you're very beautiful on the inside. And just watching us grow up together, doing crazy foolishness, jumping on radio stations at the age of 10. And like some of those memories get me by. Like even when I was like doing all that cooking and wanted to pass out because Thanksgiving had landed on a West Wednesday, but I still thought about you. I'm like, I think I tried to call you and ask. I said, Kara probably knocked out. And I think I left you a message. I sure
we talked for a second.
Yeah, for a second. But I'm like, no, she's supposed to have been on this phone with me for like our hour, like how we always do. But I just visualized us, talking, and I just kept it at that happy space, and that's what you gave me the energy to like continue, because I was getting ready to give it up, like forget it, I'm done throwing the towel. But I'm like, no. But you encouraged me to do all my cakes and pies that night and make a 5-pound bag of potato salad, and then like wake up like 2 hours later and do all the meats and the sides. So I just wanted to tell you, you definitely encouraged me, and I want you to really enjoy your birthday. Like, and just know that Miss Shirley, your beautiful mom, is so proud of you. I'm proud of you. Know that Uncle Dynamite is like looking down at us smiling, because you was a niece to him as well. So yeah, you just take a minute if you need to breathe, cry, but just know that nothing that you're doing isn't in vain. It's so beautiful. And like my sister said, like a part of life is death. That's something that we can't, overlook or whatever. But you just know that her life spoke beyond measures. Because like I said, when I went to the funeral, I thought I was at the mayor or the president, because I'm like, it wasn't nowhere to park. And I'm like, and I had to I literally had to ask somebody, like, excuse me, I'm trying to go to Miss Sherry. And it was like, you are here. Like, we was all in the house. I'm like, oh, I got to squeeze past 3,500 people to get to my best friend, to give her a hug and let you see that I was there. And I did that and then walked back out. But I just want to let you know that you just continue on living. You just continue on living your life, making her proud. Like, and you definitely making us proud. And you're a beautiful mom. Like, you're so positive. And I just love you. And I just want you to keep shining and doing your thing. So as you wipe those tears, my queen, this is the perfect time, even though it's not a perfect time, to bring in a sad list. But tonight we have so many names on our police brutality. It's like we have 40 lives that have been stolen by law enforcement officers, and then we have people on outside listen in the city, like it's just too much. But I'm just so glad that you gave me the tools. I felt like I was at church tonight, guys, for free. Like I ain't had to put no money in the basket or nothing. She ain't passing the basket around or anything. But I just want to thank you for pouring into us and just keep up, you know, the beautiful work that you're doing. And I just love the way you handle everything, like being life coach to these beautiful babies, like teenagers that, you know, especially with me and you both being teenager parents, growing up together, not knowing what to do, clueless, and for you to take what we went through and for you to give it back and say, ain't no teenager gonna be left alone. I'm gonna show you how to do it right. Like I lived. I'm not, like you said, you're not one to say something that you didn't do an experience. You give us back what you learned and what you know worked for you. And that's the part I love about you. You don't fake anything. So that's what I just wanted to give you, like a big virtual hug, and definitely, you know, yeah. So, but so right now I want us to take 1 minute, guys. If you pray like me and my best friend, and this is not the West Coalition, this is just me. You know, I'm a strong believer of God, but if you pray, that's fine. And if you don't, that's okay as well. Just send positive feed, you know, just positive energy, not feed, but positive energy in the airway right now, because even though we hear a name, these beautiful souls are attached to family members. And regardless if it's a holiday coming up or not, it's just a stolen life. It's not an act of God. And we have a real hard time even accepting when it is an act of God. So it's truly devastating when it's murder. So please just take 1 minute. If you pray, say a prayer. If not, send positive energy into the universe. We need all of that. So we're going to take 1 minute right now, and then we're going to follow back up with Brian if he's on here, and then followed by Brian will be Uncle Bill. Mic check. Let's take 1 minute right now. Mic check.
Mic check.
Thank you guys so much for that minute. And again, you know, I always dislike this part of West Wednesday, but it's very important for us to humanize these beautiful souls that were stolen. And we're going to start off with our brother Brian, for all the community violence that's happening. And most of the time, unfortunately, none of these cases are solved. It's just like, oh, well, we're added to the count. You know, it's like a head count, a stereotype, but we are more than hashtags. We're more than that. So thank you, Brother Brian. The floor is all yours. Mic check.
Mic check.
Thank you. Yeah, so this, excuse me, this week in Baltimore, we lost 7 lives, each of them a whole world full of people who miss them and be pained. So if you could just echo their names back, and we'll hold them up in solidarity. Tavez Miles, 25.
Tavez
Miles, 25.
Amare Burris, 20.
Amare Burris, 20.
Of course.
Stuartress Burke, 75.
Stuartress Burke, 75.
Burke, 75.
Corey Parker, 31.
Corey Parker, 31.
Parker, 31.
Gerald Reed, 26.
Gerald Reed, 26.
Gerald Reed, 26.
Albert Stevenson Jr., 56.
Albert Stevenson Jr.
Albert Stevenson Jr.
56.
And Tremaine Thomas Jr., 26.
Tremaine Thomas Jr.
Thomas Jr.
26.
6.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now I will hand it over to Uncle Bill for our horrible, long, sad list. And like I always tell you guys, when we get a few here and a few there, you know, we always get this big. And I think they do this on purpose. You know, just like last week we were with the family of Kevin's, and the first time ever Facebook blocked my whole entire feed, but they didn't stop what we were doing. So again, you know, just sending love and life to everybody. And thank you, Uncle Bill. And sorry you got to read so many names. The floor is all yours. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
I just want to mention, when we began reading the names of people whose lives were stolen by the police, there really were two purposes. One is to honor and uphold all the people whose lives have been snuffed out improperly by police who act as judge, jury, and executioner. And the other is to convince people around West Wednesday how serious this issue is. And we continue to have both those reasons. At least that's the way I think of it myself. Both of those reasons for doing this. Nicole, are you here for those whose names have not been announced to speak up? Perhaps she's not. Tawana, would you like to do that?
Oh, absolutely. You already know I always say cell blocks for killer cops.
All right,
Absolutely.
very good. So as Tawana said, oh, okay, very good. As Tawana said, we have 40 people to honor and uphold tonight who've been taken away by the police. It's a 2-week period. We're just talking about the 29th of November to the 13th of December. And in those 2 weeks, they stole all these 40 lives. First was in Mays County, Oklahoma, but this person has not yet been identified.
Cell blocks for killer cops. Ashe.
Ashe.
Next in Phoenix, Arizona, also on November the 29th. And again, once again, someone who's not yet identified.
Killer cops. Cell blocks for killer cops. Ashe. Forgive me. This is so hard.
Ashe.
Ashe. Once again on the 29th in Floresville, Texas, 33 years old, Raimundo Flores.
Raimundo Flores.
Next, we're now on the 30th of November in Mesa, Arizona, a person who's not yet identified.
Cell blocks for killer cops. Ashe.
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 Again on the 30th in Mariposa County, California, 24 years old, Joshua Antelope.
Joshua
Antelope.
Once again on the 30th in Columbus, Ohio, a man, I'm sorry, we do know the name of this gentleman, David. I'm going to read it the whole name once and then I'll say it shorter so we can remember and repeat. David Orlando Andrade Gomez. So let's go by first and last. David Gomez.
David Gomez.
David Gomez.
Thank you, everyone. Once more on the 30th in Terre Haute, Indiana, 42 years old, killed by police, James Reddy.
James
Reddy.
On December the 1st in Tulare, California, a man who's not yet identified, he was 38 years old.
Killer cops and cell blocks. Ashe.
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 On December the 1st again in Topeka, Kansas, 28 years old, Dylan Wallstrom.
Dylan
Wallstrom.
Once more on December the 1st in Daytona Beach, Florida, a man who's not yet identified.
Killer cops and cell blocks. Ashe.
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 Yet again on December the 1st in Virginia Beach, Virginia, 28 years old, Deshaun Whitaker.
Deshaun Whitaker.
Deshaun Whitaker.
On December the 2nd in Newcastle County, Delaware, 39 years old, Jonathan Weissman.
Jonathan
Weissman.
Again on December the 2nd in Henry County, Virginia, 57 years old, Donald Hodges.
Donald Hodges.
Once more on December the 2nd. Thank you. In Salisbury, North Carolina, 45 years old, Ronald Green.
Ronald Green.
On December the 3rd, in Johnson City, Tennessee, 51 years old, killed by police, Jerome Flanagan.
Jerome Flanagan.
Jerome Flanagan.
Thank you. On the same day, on the 3rd, in Norcross, Georgia, a man who has not yet been identified.
Cops in cell blocks.
Ashe.
On the following day, December the 4th, in Tucson, Arizona, another man who has not yet been identified.
Killer cops in cell blocks. Ashe.
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 On December the 4th, again, in Armato, Arizona, 18 years old, Mark Lyman.
Mark Lyman.
Mark Lyman.
Thank you. On December the 5th, the following day, in St. Paul, Minnesota, 24 years old, Howard Johnson.
Howard
Johnson.
Howard Johnson.
Once again, on December the 5th, in Memphis, Tennessee, 39 years old, James West.
James
West.
James West.
Yet again, on December the 5th, the police took the life of a man in Sealy, California, not yet identified.
Killer cops in cell blocks. Ashe.
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 Yet again, on December the 5th, the police took a life in Rayford, North Carolina, 34 years old, Tavares Harrington.
Tavares
Harrington.
On the next day, on December the 6th, in Woodsboro, Texas, 24 years old, Franco Enzaldua.
Franco
Enzaldua. Thank you. Once more, on December the 6th, this is in Fresno, California, 32 years old, Dennis Hapawana.
Dennis Hapawana.
On the next day, December the 7th, in Tucson, Arizona, a man who has not yet been identified.
Killer cops in cell blocks. Ashe.
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 Again, on December the 7th, in Hayden, Alabama, 34 years old, Stephen Bentley.
Stephen
Bentley.
Again, on December the 7th, in Williamson, thank you, in Williamson County, Illinois, 47 years old, Jeremy Fowler.
Jeremy Fowler.
And we come now to Maryland, on December the 7th once more, Maryland Heights. Oh, no, it's not Maryland. Maryland Heights, Missouri, excuse me. A man who's not yet identified and was 48 years old.
Killer cops in cell blocks. Ashe.
Ashe.
Yet again on December thank you. Yet again on December the 7th in Homosassa, Florida, 34 years old, Derek Large.
Derek
Large.
On December the 8th thank you. In Baton Rouge, Louisiana, a person who has not yet been identified.
Killer cops in cell blocks. Ashe.
Ashe. Again on December the 8th in Poplar Bluff, Missouri, 45 years old, Justin Morgan.
Justin Morgan.
Yet again on December the 8th in San Diego, California, a man who has not been identified yet.
Killer cops in cell blocks. Ashe.
Ashe.
Yet again on December the 8th in Memphis, Tennessee, 40 years old, Latoris Taylor.
Latoris Taylor.
Once more on December, thank you. Once more on December the 8th in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, 52 years old, Jose Navarro.
Jose Navarro.
On the next day, December the 9th, in Corona, California, 32 years old, Peter Birmingham.
Peter Birmingham.
And December the 10th, in Bluffdale, Utah, a man who is 31 years old but not yet identified.
Killer cops in cell blocks. Ashe.
Ashe.
Again on December the 10th, in Kiln, Mississippi, 21 years old, Isaiah Winkley.
Isaiah
Winkley.
Isaiah.
Once more on December the 10th in Brookings, Oregon, someone who has not yet been identified.
Killer cops and cell blocks. Ashe.
Ashe. In Powell, sorry, it wasn't clear here. In Powell, Ohio, on December the 12th, 42 years old, Sean Hinton.
Sean Hinton.
Sean Hinton.
And the last of the 40 lives stolen by police in a recent 2-week period here in the United States. Shame on this system for doing this. In Waterford, California, 27 years old, Bradley Lachlan.
Bradley Lachlan.
And that concludes this horrible list of so many stolen lives by the police. Mic check.
Mic check. So thank
Mic
you,
check.
Uncle Bill. Thank you, Uncle Bill. Thank you, Nicole. We definitely appreciate you guys. Thank you, our brother Ben. Thank you, brother Brian. And thank my beautiful queen sister, Kara. I hope she enjoys her birthday. And remember, the message was self-care. And it's not just about the outside, appearance. It's about taking care of yourself from the inside out. So let's not only take care of ourselves, but let's take care of each other. Remember, live to love, love to live. And I just want to give a big special shout out to Tyree Moorhead's family, and Kevin family that's constantly fighting because their lives should never have been stolen. And a big shout out to the West Coalition, because we've been fighting now for 490 weeks, not just for my big brother Tyrone West, but literally for all the victims of police brutality. So the same way we brought you guys in with the video, unfortunately, one of the first killers out of the 17 that started brutally murdering my brother Tyrone West, we're going to take you out with this video. But most importantly, we're not showing this for entertainment. We're showing this because something needs to be done. This is sad. Like, we have a repeat violent, dangerous offender. So if you guys know him, ever saw him, please contact me. Hit me on Facebook. Hit me on, my email, MrWanda17@yahoo.com. Just hit me up because something needs to be done to this repeat violent offender. Matter of fact, something needs to be done to all of the murderers that murdered our loved ones. So I want to give a big shout out again to my sister Angela. I'm sending you love, my queen. That's Timothy's sister. And it's sad. Timothy Flemings, they still don't have the autopsy report. We're talking about a year later, but yet they can say that they're not going to charge anybody with the brutal execution of a man. Are you kidding me? So again, I'm going to end on a positive note because my sister gave us lots of positivity. So remember, please take care of yourself and let's take care of each other. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
And happy birthday, Kira.
Yes,
Thank
happy
you.
birthday.
Thank you.
And Mr. West begging for his life, and Mr. Salam begging for his child to be excluded and comforted from what was taking place. Not for himself, but for his 3-year-old child.
Case number 4, Adina Britt and family, September 10th, 2015.
My name is Adina Britt, and I wanted to submit a 30-second testimonial that Jorge Omar Bernardez Ruiz is one of the 11 terrorists that came into my house performing a home invasion in September 2015, terrorizing my entire family and even holding my 12-year-old son at gunpoint. He needs to be stopped.
Case number 5, unidentified arrestee, assaulted in 2016.
I suggest you back the fuck up. No,
Again, this video did not surface until the summer of 2020. Case 6, Thomas McCullough, May 2016 and February 2017.
I heard my front door coming off the hinges like it exploded.
Thomas McCullough says it happened twice. In May 2016 and February 2017, Baltimore City Police burst through his green front door and raided his Pimlico home.
They said, police. They come up, shotguns, guns.
He says officers ransacked the place, looking for drugs, money, and weapons. He took pictures of the damage he says they left behind.
Tell us where the drugs are, the scales, the guns, and the large amounts of money.
Nothing was found. Now he's suing police, claiming officers, including a former member of the Gun Trace Task Force, frightened him, his wife, and father-in-law when the officers conducted what his suit calls an illegal search of his home. The owner of the house tells 11 News after the second raid, he had to replace the front door. McCullough and his attorney say they want Baltimore police held accountable.
There is a colossal breach of trust.
And McCullough tells us following both raids, no one was arrested or charged.
This all begs the question, when will Baltimore City State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby see the prosecution of Bernardez Ruiz as warranted?
They were the stopping officers in these so-called jump-out cars, unmarked and so forth, that stopped both the West vehicle and the Salon vehicle without probable cause. And these officers are the ones that also were joined by others, but they are the ones who initiated the stops, pulled both men out of the vehicles, and commenced the vicious activity that was thrust upon them.
And the officer Ruiz that started this attack is still working with promotions. He is now sergeant. But the fact that this repeat violent offender had a history leading up to my brother. There was Darrell Harris, there was James Green, Joseph Green, Abdul Salam, and my sister Dina and her family. No one family deserves to be brutally murdered or brutalized by this repeat violent offender Ruiz. It is time we take action. The time is now.
Baltimore police officer Jorge Bernardez Ruiz is a repeat violent offender. Based on these accounts, in accordance with the law, we, the West Coalition, call for him to be fired, prosecuted, and incarcerated.
We're more than hashtags and body bags. We're more than being 6 feet in the dirt and pictures and buttons on t-shirts. Our lives matter.
For the safety of our city, the prevention of further harm, and the justice for these families, we see no other option.
And again, I'll say, the time is now.